Welcome. My name is Naisha Braggs, and I will be presenting my final exam. These are the competency areas I'd like to speak to you today. People first language, what is that and how do I learn it? People first language is referring to a person first opposed to labeling and bringing attention to their disabilities. Words matter, and the way we speak about a person truly influences how society treats them. If I want to introduce Timmy, my friend who I've known for years, as an autistic kid, that's pretty harmful. It labels them, it boxes them in, and it doesn't really establish a place where they feel comfortable sharing who they are. So remember, people are people first and they must be treated as such. Assistive technologies, I'm going to be referring to them as ATs for short, are devices, equipments, and items that elevate, progress, and sustain the functioning capabilities that a child already has, even if they have an impairment. How does ATs go hand in hand with inclusive setting? Well, I'll tell you, if you have a child who has access to ATs is finally able to bridge that gap between communication, emotions, and developmental growth. It is important to know there are three different categories: no tech, low tech, and high tech. Low tech and No tech and low tech are magnifying glasses, colored reading filters, things of that nature. Now, high tech, you got tablets. You got some really cool stuff here in high tech. A specific item, which you'll see a picture of later, is a TDI 110. And what's really great about this is that it's a touch screen device, which is in the form of a tablet that comes pre-downloaded with software that helps the child and the teacher work together as a team. And it also helps the teacher being able to create activities and lessons that are inclusive for everybody. That's the beauty of an inclusive setting, is taking away the option of segregation and making everybody feel comfortable to participate, engage, and contribute. Next, we got screenings, referrals, and assessment tools. What is that? So you got two amazing services. You got an IFSP. Now, IFSP is an individualized family service plan, which is designated for children's birth to 3 years old. It is more designed for the family, and it helps the family have access to services and teachings, webinars, and how to truly set their child up for success. And what's great about either one, a IFSP or an IEP, an individualized education program, is that it's not just a parent who has a worry can refer a child. It can be a pediatrician, it could be a child care provider, it could be a counselor, and that's the beauty of it. Moving on to an IEP, the first thing I want to mention is that IEP and assistive technologies go hand in hand for the most part, not always, but for the most part. Now, IEP is more tailored for the child than it is for the family as a whole unit. An IEP is a child who is older, the age or 3 years and older, and they have to have an impairment that is qualified under the IDEA. Once that has been justified and determined and evaluations have been done, the IEP team comes together, which is a team that is in the school. They come together and they see, how do we best set up our student? How do we make him thrive and be his best? Now, if it is determined that the child does need an AT, what is amazing and great is that the IEP team can provide that through the free appropriate public education, free of cost. And these items can be taken home, which then further stimulates the home life and the school life. And so I just say, if you think you need some extra help, make sure you utilize these programs that we have. Moving on, how am I going to establish what I've learned in my classroom? It's important to know that I take huge responsibility in planting the seed for change. Everything you see on the screen, I have a full commitment to, and this class has lit a fire in that commitment. Even with building relationships, I want to build a relationship with my students, yes, on trust, but I want to guide more than I want to rectify or punish or anything like that. I want to make sure I'm teachable, because how am I supposed to advocate for my students if I don't know the latest advancements? These are all very important things. No matter what's going on with my child, I will always meet them where they are at. I'm going to treat every single child as unique and individual as a star in the sky. And I'm going to make sure that every single one of my children in my class not only feel supported, but they feel vulnerable enough to learn in the environment I have created. Now, we talk about these specific disabilities. They are pretty common. However, there are some things I think people don't know. So, in regards to ADHD, it affects the ability to control impulses, focus, and manage energy levels. This is why some kids have trouble focusing, they miss important information, they're blurting out answers. I need to understand disabilities so that I can create the right environment for them. Moving on to low vision and blindness, I really need everyone to understand that if a child has low vision, that is not something glasses or contacts can fix. They may still be able to see some light colors and shapes, but they just can't pop a pair of glasses on and be cured. Blindness, of course, is total or near lack of vision, and it all truly affects their access to this visual information, how to navigate, how they're going to interact, how are they going to see social cues? Very, very important. Next, hearing impairment. It's truly important to know that hearing impairments have a huge effect on language development, communication, learning, and social interactions. You know, there's mild to moderate, there's severe to profound. And in order to connect, you have to hear. In order to contribute in class, you have to hear. So these are some things that affect children with those disabilities. Now, everything you see on the screen, that is how I will adapt to my classroom. And one thing I would like for you to notice is that it's cohesive. Now, bringing your attention down to the hearing impaired, if I use a large interactive projection screen, who else does that help out? Maybe all of them, because guess what? If there's low vision, they can still see the shapes and colors that I designed from an activity that I created. This is why knowing my students and meeting them where they're at is truly important. And guess what? For ADHD, it allows them to get up and move around and interact and contribute in an education setting. Moving on. These are the assistive technologies. Now, I got audiobooks and visual timers for ADHD. Audiobooks is great because they could be high level energy and keep their attention. Notice that the timer I chose is very interactive. It is not just a measly little kitchen timer, because you want to have a schedule. You want it to be able to have a predictable um cool environment. Now I got magnifying glass and a braille assistive technology device. All great for low vision or blindness. Moving on to the hearing impaired, we have the Be Here Smarto, which is at the top, and then we have the Roger technology. I really want to talk about the Roger technology because that is amazing. The teacher Okay, so classrooms can be very, very loud and grand and have a really big dynamic setting. But you know what? The teacher can wear a device around their neck and then have wireless microphones at the desk, which will then connect to the child's hearing aid. How amazing is that? And now we got inclusive activities that I created. We have word hop that have sight words, and we have match my by where children can match the objects, and we have silent charade. This is my reference page.